This news is funded by viewers like you. Please support our work at democracynow.org/give. Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Iran has declared 5 days of mourning after Iran's President Ibrahim Raisi and Foreign Minister Hossein Amir-Abdollahian died Sunday in a helicopter crash near the border with Azerbaijan. The crash occurred amidst heavy fog in a mountainous area. It took rescue workers more than 16 hours to reach the crash site. Raisi had led Iran since 2021 and was widely seen as a possible successor to Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, who is 85 years old. Iran will hold presidential elections in 50 days. Vice President Mohammad Mokhbar has taken over as interim president. We'll have more on Iran after headlines. The chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court has announced he's seeking arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, and 3 leaders of Hamas, Yahya Sinwar, Ismail Haniyeh, and Mohammed Deif. In an interview today with CNN's Christiane Amanpour, ICC prosecutor Karim Khan detailed the charges against Netanyahu.
We've applied for warrants. Of course, the judges must determine whether or not to issue them, but we've applied today. We'll apply for warrants for Prime Minister Netanyahu and also Minister of Defense Gallant for the crimes of causing extermination, causing starvation as a method of war, including the denial of humanitarian relief supplies, deliberately targeting civilians in conflict.
Karim Khan said the charges against the Hamas leaders include extermination, murder, taking of hostages, rape and sexual assault, and detention, unquote. A panel of International Criminal Court judges will now decide if arrest warrants should be issued. In Gaza, Israel is threatening to expand its attack on the southern city of Rafah despite widespread international condemnation. The UN estimates 800,000 Palestinians have fled Rafah in recent weeks. Many of the displaced had sought refuge in Rafah after losing their homes in other parts of Gaza. Over the weekend, Israeli strikes on the Nuseirat refugee camp killed at least 32 people, including 10 women and 7 children. The overall official death toll has topped 35,400. Across Gaza, Palestinians say they have no safe place to go.
Are these America's gifts for us? Instead of pitying us, instead of telling Israel to stop, enough, that's injustice. Where are the Arab leaders? Where are the Muslim leaders? Where is the Islamic Ummah? Where are the men of Islam? Where are the Arab men to see our conditions? Let them stop the killing. Let them stop the destruction. Our houses have been destroyed. People can't find a house to live in. People are displaced in tents. People have been suffering. What's happening to us is injustice. This is enough. Someone needs to have mercy. No one is having mercy on us. No one has humanity.
Israel is also laying siege to Al-Adha Hospital in North Gaza. Doctors Without Borders reports the hospital has run out of drinking water. On Sunday, the UN's top humanitarian chief, Martin Griffiths, said Israel's stranglehold on aid reaching Gaza is having apocalyptic consequences. Israeli opposition leader Benny Gantz has threatened to leave the coalition government unless Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu develops a plan for post-war Gaza. This comes as protests continue in Israel, calling for a ceasefire and a deal to release all the remaining hostages, dead or alive, held in Gaza. On Sunday, President Biden addressed the graduating class of Morehouse College, the prestigious black college in Atlanta, whose alum include Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. Some students turned their backs on the president to protest his Gaza policies. Morehouse valedictorian D'Angelo Fletcher, who had a Palestinian flag affixed to his graduation cap, called for a permanent ceasefire in Gaza.
It is my stance as a Morehouse man, nay, as a human being, to call for an immediate and permanent ceasefire in the Gaza Strip.
President Biden was seen on video applauding D'Angelo Fletcher's calls for a permanent ceasefire. During his speech, Biden also called for an immediate ceasefire. Biden's speech came just days after his administration notified Congress of its plans to send another $1 billion in arms to Israel, including tank ammunition, mortars, and tactical vehicles. Later on Sunday, protesters gathered in Detroit, where President Biden addressed an NAACP dinner. We'll speak to two Morehouse professors later in the program. One turned her back on Biden. Another held up a flag of the Democratic Republic of Congo behind the president as he spoke. In news from Britain, the High Court in London has granted permission to WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange to appeal his extradition to the United States. The decision came after a critical hearing in London that Assange did not attend due to health reasons. Assange has been held in London's Belmarsh prison for 5 years. If extradited and convicted in the U.S., he faces up to 175 years in prison. We'll have more on this later in the broadcast. Authorities in the Democratic Republic of Congo say they thwarted an attempted coup in the capital, Kinshasa, on Sunday. Armed men attempted to storm the presidential palace as well as the home of a key lawmaker in an attempt to overthrow President Felix Tshisekedi's government. Around 50 people involved in the plot were arrested, including 3 U.S. citizens. The apparent coup leader, Congolese opposition figure Christian Malanga, died during the attack. Malanga had lived in exile in the United States for over a decade. In Taiwan, new President William Lai Ching-te delivered a defiant message to China after he was sworn in earlier today.
I also want to urge China to stop intimidating Taiwan politically and militarily, and to take on the global responsibility with Taiwan to work hard on maintaining peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait and in the region to ensure the world is without the fear of war breaking out.
In response, Beijing said, quote, Taiwan independence is a dead end, unquote. China also announced sanctions against a number of U.S. companies involved in arms sales to Taiwan. In the Dominican Republic, President Luis Abinader easily won a second term in Sunday's election. Abinader has taken a hardline approach to immigration, increasing raids and deportations of Haitians and shutting down migration from Haiti, despite the dire humanitarian situation in the neighboring country. He also began construction of a 100-mile concrete wall along the border with Haiti. At least 11 people died in Ukraine's Kharkiv region on Sunday as Russia intensifies its offensive in northeastern Ukraine. This comes as Ukrainian officials have asked the United States and other NATO nations to send troops to Ukraine to help train new recruits. On Thursday, the chair of the U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Charles Brown, hinted such a plan is being discussed. He said, quote, we'll get there eventually over time. In Alabama, workers at 2 Mercedes-Benz plants voted against joining the United Auto Workers. 56% of the nearly 5,000 votes rejected the UAW after a massive pressure campaign by Mercedes and Republican leaders, including Alabama Governor Kay Ivey. UAW President Shawn Fain said the result will not deter the union in its bid to organize the South.
I'm not scared at all. I mean, I believe workers want unions. I believe they want justice, and we're going to keep doing what we do, and I think we're going to keep winning.
In California, the man who broke into the home of then House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and attacked her 82-year-old husband with a hammer has been sentenced to a total of 30 years in prison. During the trial, David DePape admitted he wanted to take Nancy Pelosi hostage to interrogate her, but she wasn't home when he broke into her home just before the 2022 midterm elections. And in Texas, the death toll from last week's storms in Houston rose to 7 people. Some 240,000 customers still did not have electricity by Sunday evening as the area now contends with a heat wave with temperatures topping 90 degrees Sunday. President Biden's issued a disaster declaration for the region. And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Democracy Now! Is funded by viewers like you. Please give today at democracynow.org/give.